How intelligent are you? What kind of factors influence this? And can you actually change how intelligent you are? There's a vast discussion about this topic, and today I want to highlight one book from Harvard Professor Perkins, which is Outsmarting IQ, and he's introducing learnable intelligence. Because he's a professor, it's a little bit more research-oriented if you want to read it, but there's also some parts where he pretty much roasts IQ, so that's very entertaining. Hello everybody, I'm Karen. I have a PhD in physics, and recently I started to have a new hobby, which is reading research papers about neuroscience and how we learn and think. Professor Perkins highlighted 3 different factors. A lot of the times they're only looked at individually, as to say only this factor is important. He says that all 3 of them are very important, and some of them are also changeable, which is really good news for us. He called it learnable intelligence. When we look at the first factor, we have neural intelligence. This includes the word neural, so what it means is neurons, your brain cells, that are involved in the thinking process. And the factor we are looking at is actually the speed in which your neurons are firing. So imagine you have a thinking process of going from A to G. The faster you can go through, the faster you come to the solution. Which means that this neural slow or fast means how slow or fast you actually think. I know I'm a very fast thinker, which is an advantage I have. This factor is innate. You're born with it, you can't change it. Neural intelligence corresponds to IQ tests, or the intelligence quotient, because it's a test where they measure how fast you can read the instruction, follow the instruction, and find a solution. If we take this discussion a little bit broader, not just look at neural intelligence, but also innate advantages that you have, that you're born with, we have to look at talents. I obviously have a talent for math. So that definitely helps me when I study physics. I do not have a talent for languages. I'm quite okay with it, but I definitely don't have a talent. So this isn't the less interesting parts, because this is what you're born with. After this not so positive factor, let's have a look at the other 2, because the other 2 are actually changeable. The second factor is experimental intelligence, which basically means what have you learned? What have you done? This is obviously acquired. There's 2 different kinds of things we have to look at that most of the time are put together, but the way you acquire these is quite different. On the one hand, we have the knowledge system. For example, if I want to learn about quantum optics, for me this should be a little bit easier because I already have so much knowledge for physics, quantum mechanics, optics. I actually did a lot of stuff in the lab. This kind of knowledge base grows exponential. The more you learn, the easier it gets. The beginning is always difficult. The second kind of experimental intelligence concerns skills. Something like fixing a car. I didn't do this before, I didn't change this, I have no clue what I would do. So obviously I have no idea. Whereas I did a lot of stuff in the lab, so I should be able to set up a laser, put all the lenses, write a computer program to do the measurements and stuff. So this kind of skill I have, so I can easily add on and create more sophisticated, more complex things. Not with the car, that is for somebody else. That skill I do not have. This kind of intelligence I don't have. The IQ test actually doesn't measure this kind of things. The questions are designed to not touch knowledge or skills. They avoid all questions of, for example, knowing about history or biology or this kind of things. They avoid knowledge and skill completely. Then we have a look at the last part, which is reflexive intelligence. You might have also heard metacognitive. This means that you consciously think about how you learn, how you think, how you solve problems. You try different techniques and see what works best for you in which area. And if you have more reflexive intelligence, you have a stronger emphasis on persistence, systematicity, and imagination. For example, because I am not good at learning languages, or I'm okay with learning languages, I didn't actually learn French in school, simply because I don't have a talent for spelling, and they did a lot of spelling, and I would have been so miserable with this system of learning French. So I choose not to do it. I would have failed miserably. Later on, I moved to the French part of Switzerland. I had to learn it by myself. I actually had a motivation to learn it and opportunity to use it. This kind of strategy worked for me. I was able to decently enough speak French. Or, for example, you look at YouTube. You learn something on YouTube, either you understand the person or you switch the channel. You go until the point where you find somebody who's more connected to what your background is, maybe explains it more related to you, or you try different people to see different kind of explanations. This is all technique. The only place where this factor doesn't really come into place is schools, or at least in German schools, maybe also in the American system. There's only one way of doing it, and that's the teacher's way, which is so annoying. So annoying. For example, in math classes, they always show you one way of doing it, calculating something, and that's the one you have to present. Whereas I went to, okay, how else can I do this? What's the advantage of this and this? And then I'm like writing a different way of doing it. I get less points and less grades just because it's not the same way as the teacher. The solution is not wrong. The way is not wrong. It's just different. And then in any other circumstances, trying new strategies is beneficial. If you work in a company as an engineer, they would love for you to try new things. That's called innovation. Only in schools they don't do it. So if you're in school, this means don't connect yourself too much to what grades you get, how the teacher does something. Try to find ways around the system to still make it work for you. In spite of school, you can learn. I did get quite a fair practice of this one, but later on you depend more and more on your self-awareness of how you do things. At university, they don't give you any help. If you learn more practical job, you learn by doing, by seeing. It's quite different. So maybe we just we put ourselves a little bit of a distance to the grades we get to say, okay, because I have this and this grade means I'm smart. It's the same with IQ test. Binet, who actually developed this IQ test, which measures the school ability. So if you have higher IQ, it means you are better in school, better in academia probably. However, when they try to find a correlation, a connection between IQ and how successful you are in life, they cannot find it. Use the IQ as more as an information, maybe interesting piece of information, but not as something that defines you. So we have now looked at these 3 factors, and I want to discuss this more general, because a lot of times it's the question of what does it actually mean to be intelligent? And from the research, they talk more about intelligent behavior. For example, when you solve a problem, how well are you and how fast are you? So for example, the factor of do you think fast in general? I color-coded this, and pink is the neural one, that how fast your brain cells are firing. If you're fast in something in general, then finding a specific problem might go faster. But you could also be faster because you know a trick. You might know a lot of tricks. You might have practiced a lot. And in this case, factor 2 comes into place. The learned intelligence. If you now think of which of these 2 factors might be more important. Looking at somebody who is fixing your car, I have no practice. You don't want me to do this. So it's much more important to have practice and know all the ins and outs. Maybe even know about the specific car. Professor Perkins, in his book, highlighted the fact that we have to look more as intelligence in practice and not just in academia and ways. So it's really not just the intelligence, not something that you are like a status, something you have, but how you behave. For example, can you think about a topic intelligently? If you know more, you can obviously think about it more intelligently. Intelligence also helps to be more creative. Creativity means that you have to create something new, something innovative. For example, a lot of times you're combining things that are usually not put together. In order to make these creative decisions, you need to understand quite a bit about the topic. Not just because to connect it, you also need to know if it's a good idea. What are the benefits? What are disadvantages? You need to be able to evaluate a thought. And for this, you have to have a lot of knowledge. So this is again the second part of the acquired intelligence. Now, at last, I want to talk about situations where you feel like you are not intelligent. And in a situation where you're stuck or you can't do it, you should ask yourself, why can't I do this? This taps into this reflexive intelligence because we are starting to think about our how we do things, how we think. A possible answer would be, I don't have enough time. If you're at a job and you don't have enough time to fix a problem, to fix a machine, because there's a lot of time pressure. Or do you struggle because you don't have a talent for this? Is it a math problem where you say, I don't have a talent for this? Or I say, I can't learn French because the spelling is too complicated and I don't have a language talent? Or is it because you can't do it like this, in this specific way? Some time ago, I was visiting friends who have a 2-year-old daughter, and I just wanted to do some painting with her. I started drawing circles and I encouraged her to do it the same, and she immediately said, I can't do this. With a very strict, I can't do this. That's a bit strange because children are very much interested in trying everything, which is an innate behavior that we have. We want to try things, explore things, learn things. So in order for her to have this, somebody else must have suppressed her eagerness to try. So I just told her, maybe you try this. Let's draw a really big circle, like a really big one. And she was able to, after some time, she realized she can actually do it. So a lot of times we give up too early because we have learned we can't do it or have been told that we can't do it. Another possible answer for why can't I do this is a new topic. And I have never done this before. I probably should put a lot of time and effort and learn about it. But this again taps into what strategies do I use. So even if it's new, I can still do it. It's just a matter of how much time I'm willing to invest. It's basically an equation. Is this topic easy? How fast can I do it? Do I have a shortcut or some tricks, some background that helps me get into this a lot faster? Sometimes it's also just that you didn't do this for a while. Instead of saying, I haven't done this for a while, people go, oh, I forgot everything. I don't know anymore. Just a little bit patient sometimes, just reminding yourself of how well you should be able to do this and how fast you can actually relighten the fire in this area again. The points that I just discussed for what is intelligence and how we see it, I did this color coding to highlight which factors come into play a lot more than others. And the factors that come into play more often are actually the one that we can change, like experimental intelligence or reflexive intelligence. Do I know a trick? Do I have more knowledge? Do I practice this more? Am I willing to practice this more? Do I really want to have this skill? In no area can you be intelligent without putting some effort into it. If you find good strategies, you can make it shorter. Or if you're lucky enough to have a talent in a certain area or your thinking speed is quite fast, you can go faster. You can show much higher degrees of intelligence. None of these factors can stop you because there's always multiple things that you can do. This kind of perspective is very positive because intelligence is learnable. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you want to learn more about learning, thinking, and how the brain works. Until next time, bye!